mobilization director with campaigns and organizing the veterans. So we have two really good speakers from ARA. So let's give them a warm machinist welcome.
Well, that was a lukewarm welcome.
We're going to try and keep things a little bit casual here today. Brenda and I are just going to tag team. We welcome. We want you to interrupt us because we're not that interesting and we can learn probably a whole lot from you. We'll let them take it back. So we're going to go back and forth. What's mine if I take my jacket off? Everybody, you all look busy.
Yeah.
It's very...
I'm sorry,
But he dresses up really well.
I overdressed a little bit today. I just wanted to, make sure that
We all know our new president,
Okay.
Robert Rush, and we're really excited that we were being invited down here, and he wanted us to make a good impression, so we went well, he didn't brief us.
Right.
Better to overdress than underdress.
And everyone should have a copy of the presentation. I have a book. Yeah, if you want to have a copy of the presentation, which you hope you'll enjoy. But the probably most important thing is that both of our contact information is on the cover. So in terms of taking it back with you, you can always get in touch with both of us. Yeah.
We wanted to talk today about Advocacy Tools. The Alliance for Retired Americans is, as you all I think know, and Rich and Robert certainly covered, is really does the best for all of our trade unions and tries to take retiree power and critical partnerships union retirees and the rest of the community at large. And so what we wanted to do is talk about things that you guys probably already know a lot about, so interrupt us, tell us, we know all this, and we'll listen to you, and we'll have a dialogue about it. But we wanted to cover some tactics. Most of them are sort of around what you would do if you had a legislative campaign or an issue campaign, but they're also perfectly relevant for negotiation, trying to build a community of support, and really anything where you're trying to make a point of view known to the broader community. So Brendan wanted to start with a quote from Ralph Reed, who is not really always our ally.
Right, but yeah. So but we agree that you have to organize and organize and organize, and build and train until there's a permanent, vibrant structure of which people can be a part of. And for me, the thing that holds true the most is to train and train and train. So, like as Lisa said, there are going to be a lot of tactics here that I'm sure that everyone's already participated in. And if you haven't, that's okay too. But I always find it's great to hear tactics over and over again, just to reinforce, because in order to organize, we're up against a lot, and we have to make sure that we have all of our tactics at home. So
the shortest part. So just a little bit about what I do at the Alliance. I have a team of myself and 2 other people, and we take care of all the, basically anything written that comes out of the Alliance comes from us. We would give it to Brendan. Brendan pushes it out to our activists in the field. So we talk to the media. We do messages. We try and create good visuals, creative stuff. Lots of it's all about the website. It's about social media, creating little images that that can be shared. We also, if any of you subscribe to our weekly newsletter, the Friday Alert, we create that in our shop every week. And we do a lot of online petitions, ask people by email to message their member of Congress. And we've made a lot of progress in that over the last year. We've doubled the size of our email activist list. And half of it is really people who are not come out of the labor movement. So we're trying to reach to our base and grow beyond that, really building a coalition.
yeah, and so in the field department, like Lisa said, I would say I spend a lot of my time coordinating with state presidents and their boards, and there are some Alliance state presidents here in the room today, and they can testify to the amount of conversations that we have together. But also we develop issue campaigns for our affiliates and chapters. So most recently, for example, in the past year, we've been looking very hard at the TPP, the Trans-Pacific Partnership, and we've, with a lot of our state organizations, have developed issue campaigns pushing back against it. and have had a lot of successes with that. As an example, we also provide a voter and member database that you may be familiar with called the Labor Activation Network, or they call it the LAN. If you're a member of the Alliance to Retired Americans, which you all are, you have the ability to go through us and me, and we will get you trained and provide you with a login with access to every voter, with the contact information of every voter in your state, as well as contact information for many of the Alliance to Retired American members in your state as well. So we found it's a really good resource for contacting Alliance members in your area. Oh yeah, question? Oh no.
No, I will have a question later.
Okay, great. Yeah, okay, sure, yeah.
Do you have that with retirees pulled out of it? You just-
Yeah, well, and the LAN, it's probably one of our newest projects, just within the past year that we've been working with the AFL-CIO to get our own committee, the Alliance Committee, and yeah.
What I meant, I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah.
Retirees by group, like say the IAM retirees, could we get a copy of that?
Yeah, and so that's the part that
They're political, you all know this, right?
Yeah, so
It's been a process.
there is, so because it's so new, we're still working out some kinks. So when you get access to our LAN, you're able to search by Alliance members in your state. It has a pretty good accounting of them, but we don't have it yet to identify the affiliate that they were with when they before they retired. But we're working on it, and I actually feel optimistic we might be able to get there sometime soon. So, but it's, yes. Sure.
Have you actually done some training in states on this system or not? Because I'm on the board in my state, and I probably forgot that.
Yeah, no, it's okay. Well, and Greg, I talked with him a lot, and we did a few trainings in states when we had our regional meetings, and now we're sort of getting into the weeds of ARA, but it's okay. But what we do is provide online webinars, which is if you have a computer with access to the internet, we can connect you and we schedule you for a certain time and you can log on.
I'm rural, but I still got internet, so anyway. But,
okay, good.
Yeah,
no, I mean, no assumptions. I mean, yeah.
So, system, you don't need an in-person training.
It will come through Greg, though.
Yes.
That he'll set something up for the whole board.
Yeah, and I'm so glad that I saw you because now I can call Greg and
tell him I complimented Greg on doing a good job. Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So I'll do that. Yeah. But this is all to say that if you're at all interested, if you know the Alliance board or president in your state, definitely contact them, or you can go directly to me. My email's on the cover, and I will get you plugged into our LAM program, which is new, but I think is constantly getting better, and I think it's going to be really helpful. It's very powerful. I've noticed that you can actually do a search of like your town or your precinct and see if there are any Alliance members in your precinct, and you discover that there are like 40 Alliance members in your neighborhood. That's like a pretty powerful thing that we've never really been able to provide yet, and so work on that. So that's one of the things that we do, and then we also have done some programmatic like toolkits. Some of you may be familiar with our Social Security and Medicare Anniversary Toolkit, which we put together and update every year. Some of you may have participated in our anniversary events, but we tried to put together toolkits that's like everything you need in order to put these on from, and we rely heavily on Lisa's department for things like press releases and even sample op-ed, sample letters to the editor. And then the other thing that we do is that we provide like a conference call. So if in your own organizing in your state, if you're going to be doing things with a good conference call system, and you can get in touch with us so we can make sure that if you want to have a meeting with people that aren't in the same location, we can help put that together. It's just one of the things that we like to give to our members. And we do a lot of other things that fall into those different categories, but that's a big part of what we do with the field department. So, yeah. So and then, so like Lisa was saying, we're just going to talk about just some tactics. And so, start out with like a scenario of lobbying a member of Congress on our issues, and then we'll sort of go into the different types of tactics. But just out of curiosity, I've heard that like there's really good representation from across the whole country, but just at a show of hands, how many people here are from like the West? Do you consider yourself, you live in the West? Okay, great. And then how many people would say that they're from the Midwest? I caught you, Dave.
So, we're all sitting together.
Yeah, okay. All right, good. And then how many people from like the South? Okay, great. And then from the Northeast? And then is anyone here from Canada? Okay, great. Oh, many are from Canada. That's great. Okay, excellent.
So you'll have to forgive us for our U.S. country.
Yeah, all of this, yeah, we're the Alliance for Retired Americans, but that's, just classification. But we're so happy to have you here. And of course. Oh, yes. Well, of course. And who here is from the Mid-Atlantic? I'm from New Jersey, so I'm with you. Okay, great. So I forgot myself. Where in the Mid-Atlantic are you from? Oh, Maryland. Okay, yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for hosting us.
Can the Canadians be members?
Of the Alliance? I don't know.
I'm sorry.
Can Canadians be members?
I know our executive director actually lives in Canada and was having some conversations. I don't know, but we may, perhaps, I've heard we might be taking on a bylaw rewrite in the next year after this year's presidential, so that could be possible. I believe they have their own very active kind of analog to our retiree group, so they may already have their own thing going perfectly well and not be interested, but we would love to cross-pollinate if there's interest.
Okay, so the strategies for lobbying a member of Congress. Actually, I should ask too. How many people here have lobbied your member or a member of Congress? I feel like it's gonna. Okay, so
we got experts in the room.
Yeah. So
what we're going to try and do then, since you guys are pretty expert, and some of you, is focus on how to decide which tactics to use when, right? Because some of them are easy, some of them are hard, and this is sort of as you're putting together a strategy, we want to get to someone what's worth our time, what's going to be the most lift, and we have a little data about what members are listening to. They get surveyed every couple of years, and what are those staffers listening to, and it changes. So we'll get to some of that as well.
Yeah, so the rule of thumb for me, I think we start with the tactics. The rule of thumb for me is that like if things are easy to do, the easier things are to do, the sort of less effective it is. But that's also not to say that things that are easy to do you shouldn't do. I would say you should try to do everything you can by way of tactics. Because a lot of it is breaking through AstroTurf, which I think, as we know, is like artificially generate grassroots, often used by corporations that can, by the illusion of popular groundswell. And we always see this in like advertising, in the news. There's just a whole dialogue out there that's against the things that we organize around, and that's like the AstroTurfing. It's the perception that there is this like popular majority of people that oppose the things that we care about, like preserving and expanding Social Security, for example.
As you all know, the Koch brothers are the biggest disseminators of AstroTurf right now. So we really need to, this has only increased, even though we have a more savvy audience. We have people, they think it's, Americans united against whatever, and there's really nobody behind that group. We at the Alliance are different. We have real people. We talk about our 4.4 million members, and we show up in people's offices, and that distinguishes us from this pay-for advocacy.
Yeah, it works. Because the way that we're able to be successful, and I'm sure the way that you've also found success, is by personalizing communications, talking about like specific things for your community, for your neighborhood when you are lobbying, face-to-face communication, so with district office, with your member, is critical. So these are some of the different tactics that we like to use, and we like to work with our state alliances and recommend that they use when we're doing issue campaigns, when we're talking about expanding Social Security, we're talking about opposing the Trans-Pacific Partnership. And so all of these have sort of varied degrees of like the amount of time that takes away from you, and also the different places when they're best being used. So just to run down them.
Sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
I just jumped in because they're back.
Oh yeah, yeah. So so these are the two key elements for considering impact are the amount of effort needed to complete each action, and then the number of times you use a specific tactic to make a difference. And that's why I say there are no bad tactics, and I would say there are no tactics that are always the best. I think that there are a lot of tactics to be used at different times, sort of weighing these different factors. So, so a paper petition, for example, is really easy, probably, to get a signature, and then it gains significance if you're presenting a petition, if you can say that all of the signatures are constituents of the elected or the member of Congress. And then there are some things that you can do just when you're collecting, which you probably all know, like using an example at the top of the petition, because people feel a lot better about signing something that's already been signed. And then also there's like a backdoor use for petitions, which is this is like a way to build lists. So if you have petitions with contact information, you can use that if you're organizing.
I saw on TV I guess this is basically that astroturfing.
Yeah.
On CNN, they were showing about the politicians, how they'll generate, by computers, sending emails to themselves or whatever. And it shows like 90% of the people support them.
Mm-hmm.
Then they had to break down the actual number because they can do something by the IP address, and they had Trump would be like 90-something%, way high, where in fact it was actually like 70%.
Right, that's digital astroturf. So you can buy followers on Facebook, you can buy fake things on Twitter, so that you look like you have as many Twitter followers as Kim Kardashian or Taylor Swift, right?
Yeah.
You can buy those up and they're not real, and you can drill in and look at it.
Yeah.
The examples we get concerned about is right now there's insurance companies are paying in certain communities running advertising, doing phones about getting people to say, yes, I'm worried about my Medicare because they want, they're doing Medicare Advantage or something that we don't, it's not maybe the most efficient way to do it. So they're really getting out there with all of a paid operation that's really got a corporate base behind it. But yeah, candidates do it at the same time. The corporate ones, they get out, they gin out their postcards and they get you to sign things and send them back in. So
Yeah, they were showing on CNN that, and they had Trump, Hillary, and Bernie.
right.
And Trump was the least honest, and Bernie was the most honest. He was in the 90 percentile of actual people
Right.
on his, and the rest of them were faking.
Faking, or people have multiple
numbers.
profiles. One person might have create 50 profiles and like somebody's page 50 times.
Yeah, until I saw that, I wondered where they could even do anything like it.
And there are programs that you can do to auto-generate it, because I can't remember more than 3 passwords. I couldn't create more than 3 profiles, but
Yeah.
you can do it in an auto way to do it. We don't recommend anybody deploy those tactics. They are, if you have a sophisticated receiver of the message, they can tell what's real and what's not. But if you're a candidate who doesn't necessarily have a base, like Mr. Trump, you buy it at the beginning to make it look like there's momentum, and that encourages other people to jump in.
Yeah,
You're
that's what they were
absolutely
saying.
right.
If you have a base, then the benefit of getting actual people to fill out your petition is that then those actual people can be organized into future actions, where which is like big people can't do anything with them except petition. So some other tactics too are like a postcard, which is takes a little more time than a petition. Postcards are really good if you have like one simple 2 or 3 sentence message that you're trying to convey, and you have like some programmatic event that you organize, be it like a potluck or a barbecue or like a regular local meeting, and you take like 5 or 10 minutes for everyone to fill out a postcard and send it to their member of Congress. It's dramatic for an office to receive a bunch of like a postcard that has like handwritten notes, and it's like a good way to deliver a message. But and then along this line too, it's good. Make sure you have like the addresses of the signer. Make sure they're constituents. But this is also just good for your own organizing to have people's addresses.
Copy them or enter them on the list before you turn over the postcard. So you don't want to hand postcards out. This is obvious. I realize you want to. Don't hand out postcards and ask people to mail them from home. Have them fill them out. Collect them, you deliver them in person, which would be my recommendation, or if you're going to drop them in the mail, do it only after you've collected all the information on who signed it. And obviously you do have handwriting legibility issues. Constituent letters.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Constituent letters tend to be what you do. Constituent letters are longer than a postcard. You have a form letter, you ask people to find it, tell them why to support SB 1 or 2. It's a higher level effort because you're asking people to take more time, and people, get a little anxious about making sure they get the wording right. They take a letter to their elected officials seriously, which is terrific, but it's a higher lift to get people to do it. When they're doing it, the guidelines are no more than 1 page. Make sure that you know
When you're doing a letter,
Yeah.
you have a large group of people, say 10, 15, 20, make sure you go to the stationery store and get different types of paper
great idea.
so that they don't feel like they've been bombarded by what you're doing.
Right.
Actually, you're masking what you're doing. Like in this group, I have at least 5 pads of different color paper or different types of paper, and then we'd all write the letter, and it'd all go in, and it looked like it came from all over everywhere.
And you might mail them on different days.
No.
Mail some on Monday, some on Tuesday. You might. Yes, sir.
I've received 2 letters from the Alliance in the last 2 months, and they're huge.
Yeah.
They're huge letters like this. And it's got an elaborate declaration to the politician about Social Security.
Yeah. Those are different, and I'll tell you why those are different. I mean, those are our fundraising budget. A good chunk of our budget comes from our affiliates who support us, and other part of our budget we raise largely through direct mail. And that program helps pay more than half of the Alliance's budget. What you do to send people to get them activated to write a check to us and sign a petition is a little different, and it's an art form. That would not be how you would send something to a member of Congress, right? And but we do collect those and get them there. Those letters, honestly, and my colleague from the development and fundraising department isn't here, are probably less effective to the member because it's a pre-printed form that we just ask the name on. They're not going to get that much attention. The ones that are real people handwrite, they won't even realize it's from the same group. And that second category will be the advocacy thing. But it is, we do both because we got to keep the lights on. And there's a different strategic objective with those.
Sorry to ask another question.
No.
My understanding of the Alliance was years ago,
11.
11, must be 11 years ago, that's wrong, was that the IM was the main body of people that were going to be in the Alliance. Is that right?
Okay, so I've only been with the Alliance a year and a half, so I don't know what was decided back in the beginning. The story, what I understand, and Brendan's been there less than me, so we're not the best one to ask this question. But the Alliance was formed by the AFL-CIO, and the AFL-CIO created the Alliance, and a certain number, I think it was 10, of the affiliates of the AFL-CIO all sort of co-founded it. There are boards and board representation from everybody. We highlight IA leadership. We have a lot of IA leadership, but it really is broader. We have teachers, we have machinists, we have a number of folks. in a number of different unions. I'm not going to rattle off every affiliate that is a contributing member right now because I will forget somebody and get in a whole lot of trouble when I get back to the office. And I can, if you want to know more detail how it works, I can get you someone who has been around for the history.
I now understand
Ah,
what you're saying,
okay,
because I always took them from machinists, because actually the AFL-CIO that
correct.
was the founder,
Right.
not the machinists.
Yeah.
Machinists just jumped on the bandwagon.
Correct. And AFSCME and AFT and yes, sir.
The purpose of this, I understand it from the beginning, was to encourage labor unions to get involved, or vice versa, with community groups,
Yes,
and to get everybody on the same page. That's why, well, a couple of years ago, all the retiree groups in the, or like the AFL-CIO, State Federation retiree groups, and so were told, okay, we're only going to fund one. Not, you should say which one you want. That's what we were told in New Mexico. If you want to have your AFL-CIO retiree group, have that, but and not, we're not going to fund both.
I mean, we came after the National Council of Senior Citizens, which was the predecessor organization, and the idea was to have one union, bring the power, sort of like the AFL, bring the power where there's common agreement among retirees, right? Both to, we have pension issues in common, we care about other issues that are bigger than us, such as Social Security, healthcare, Medicare, issues that affect everybody that's not just us. We get involved, our state's involved in minimum wage fights, things where we can partner with community members very closely. We have, but the core and, most of our board is out of the labor movement. Certainly we have some community-based organizations as the board. We also have some people where their affiliates, their affiliate is maybe not participating with us in a financial way, but we have members and they get called community board members, like SCIU. We have a lot of SCIU activists. Right.
And another thing is, the way we were presented to us in the beginning was, you don't have to be retired to belong to the Alliance.
Exactly. We're the Alliance for Retired Americans. You don't have to be, we're not the Alliance of Retired Americans. And that's an important little
because we had an
word,
issue,
right?
we had an issue in New Mexico where one CWA member forced our secretary out because she says, well, she's not retired, what's she doing here? And she was the best secretary we ever had.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
I hate to hear that
Yeah.
story. That's no good. Well, so hopefully, yes, sir.
Every machinist who retires is a member of the ARA?
Yes, sir.
Could you be a source that we need
Yes, sir.
and utilize for finding our retired brothers and sisters?
To find your, our colleague Juan Johnson, who's not here today, he's the keeper of the list. But yes,
He has the list.
he has the list. But our lists come from the machinists. So if they haven't given us a list in 2 or 3 years, we may not be totally up to date. Lists, as you all know, lists in the AFL-CIO is a, I could get fired by talking about this stuff. But I got 2 kids and they're getting ready for college. Don't get me too much trouble. But we would love to help you find a retiree. And the system that he's working on, the Interaction Network, where we have all the retirees in one bucket. And we're trying to get the reasons who was IAM, who was AFT, who was the other. But that's a lot of politics at AFL-CIO to see those particular unions. All those unions have to give us permission to do that and then be able to give it back to you.
Does
So
the
it's a
ARA
work in
realize
progress.
what we collectively here are about?
Absolutely.
Wouldn't that be an advocacy to go to the CIO and say, hey, listen, this is
And we do.
necessary? No, this is necessary because you have an election coming up, you have a lot of things in going into the oven, and you need to bake it, and where to bake it.
Yeah, and one of the, we are, in 2 years ago in the last election, Brendan's department actually did a really effective program. Actually, Wisconsin was one of the places in the other 2 states where we got we had a couple of state organizers, but we also had leaders from ARA go out and really recruit volunteers. We ended up in the 4 states we're doing it, staffing more than 50% of the phone. We are telling them, you give us this data because we can turn out volunteers, we can turn out votes, we have people who have a little more flexibility of time than active workers. And the powers that be, I'm being a little candid here, probably getting myself in trouble, have come to see this. But it's just working through their process and talking to them to make it happen. And we're, I think, 2/3 of the way through that discussion. And Brendan's doing great work making all that happen. But you got to kind of meet with everybody who's got a dog in the fight and get them comfortable. Is that clear?
Yeah, and we can work, in the meantime, we can talk about some tactics to help you connect with some of your brothers and sisters in your state. So you should reach out to me and we can talk more.
We'll make this work. We just can't totally promise. Okay, so the next tactic, which in this list up the ladder for HART, is an in-person lobby visit.
Yeah, well, and I think a lot of people here have, has everyone here done an in-person lobby visit? I know I asked you about lobbying, but I feel like this is like very familiar to you. And so you all know how hard it is for an elected to run away from an issue that you're asking them about. So, and that's why in-person lobby visits are like the most effective. Even if you're able to get to speak with the staff, it's also important. And you should do that whenever you are lobbying an issue, because they'll all work for you, and so it's like their job to listen to the things you have to say. And so,
where these tactics start becoming effective is, bring your signed letter to the meeting, right? So you got to think at the beginning, what are we trying to do? We're going to have meetings at the end, so you have your run-up work to get the petition signed, or the letters, or the postcards, whichever one you choose at the beginning. We wouldn't want you to do all of them. But bring it with you, or bring, representative group, or bring more and more people bring pictures, right? One, a great way to do it is if somebody has an iPhone or a thing, bring a video testimonial, get 3 or 4 people to record a message and play it for them in the meeting. These are, the staff in particular are younger. They're not readers as much as they are watchers, right? You see the videos on Facebook, so you can do video readings. Take a new wrinkle on an old tactic and make it make sense to those young folks. If you're meeting with a member, don't bother with the video. They won't give you the time. But there are ways, think about how your kids and your grandkids communicate, and that's increasingly what we're evolving our tactics to. Does that make sense?
and then also follow up with meetings. That's like the most important part. If you're able to get the contact information of the person that staffed the meeting, following up with them is a great way to make sure that you get like some type of closure or answer that you're tracking the issue you're talking about.
We also have databases at the Alliance. We know who the staffer is on this issue, that issue, or the others. If you don't know, you can call us. We can help you get the meetings. We can help get you meeting with the right person, so you're not spending a whole lot of time with the receptionist, if that's of use to you. Phone calls. So phone calls are great, but the volume of phone calls you need is high. We put 50 here. I would actually say for a large state or a Senate, if you're trying to include the senator, you probably need to add a 0 to that to have any effect. We will partner on with the FLCO or sometimes ourselves and set up a phone line sometimes, or we'll give you a number. You have your folks call that number, they'll hook you to the right number. People need a script in order to make an effective call, so you got to keep it short. And the receptionists, they have grids, and they just write down TPP, yes, no, and they almost hash mark it. And that's as much as they're going to record. So it's good to do, particularly timing matters for phone calls. I tend to think it works best right on top of the night, in the 2 or 3 days before something is current. If you're talking about a bill that hasn't even made it through committee, phone calls are not your best tactic. It's going to take a lot of time, and nobody's focused on it. So you're better to work on some of the other keys and the other tools. Letters to the editor, which is more my department. Letters to the editor are still a good tool, although they're kind of going out of vogue. Why do we think they're going out of vogue? And it's very hard to find the letters online. They're buried. We tend to do them at the Alliance to the national places, the New York Times, the Washington Post, and those. Some communities, the local paper is still a great thing, and the local members do look at it, but it's a relatively high effort. However, with retirees, there are a lot of people who love writing letters to the editor. They may not be able to come out and come to a meeting or go to a picket or a protest, and it's a good thing to have them do and be engaged. Get a copy of their letter so you know what happened. And you can always CC it to the member of Congress if they're calling you to write or whatever. Send a copy to them so they know it went there. They are paid attention to by the editors of the newspaper, so they kind of see what people are caring about, but that's a really kind of indirect advocacy thing for y'all to target. And so it's not necessarily of the most utility.
Yeah, so, and then at the Alliance, we do like, protests and rallies, especially about big issues. We really love...
More pickets and protests and
Yeah.
fewer rallies.
Yeah, and we really like to do it, especially when we have like partners, like with the TPP fight this past year, we were partnered with like state AFL, state feds, and local CLCs, as well as other unions in different states, and so a lot of the pickets and protests, office visits, staying in front of offices were really effective because we had like a coalition of people going. But this is all about logistics, and so especially if you're able to plan well in advance, you have like a goal, you're able to make like a small program where you have like a speaker who's going to lead it. But I think that I'm also talking to a room of people who have all participated in like pickets and rallies, and so sort of the best practices that you all know still apply to the issues that we're working on right now. So
I think the thing that's changed with protests and rallies is it's harder to get media coverage for them. It's never easy, but it's getting harder again because there are just fewer members of the media out there. And to get them to actually leave the TV station or the radio station, much less the newspaper, and come to somewhere where they're all gathered is really, really hard. So choosing a location near where they are is helpful if it's relevant to your issue. Timing of day always matters for this, not just when you get your people there, but it's got to be sort of in the 11 to 2 window if you're going to have any hope of getting a TV camera out, unless it's a really hot issue. And finally, you need good visuals, and when you're calling the media to tell them about your protest, you need to tell them what the visuals are going to be. You've got to give them a preview so they know whether it's worthwhile to come. The upside of that is technology is also our friend, right? We can now have our own cameras, we have our own YouTube, we have our own Facebook. So you can film your own rally or protest, do a couple interviews with people, come, get somebody's grandkid to edit it and get it on Facebook. And you can make your own news to push to your members, to your friends, to your community, and kind of quickly go viral. Tag your local members of Congress. They pay attention to what's on Facebook. So even if you don't get the media out, your event doesn't have to sort of just be what it was in the moment. You do have a way that you can kind of make your own news coverage of it. And we're teaching and encouraging people to do that and take advantage of it. There's other apps like Periscope, other things if somebody really wants to get into social media to make it easy. But to start with, just get your iPhone and upload something to YouTube or Facebook or both, and you're in a good direction. Educational events, honestly, their impact really varies. An educational event, we need sort of a summit, a forum, a seminar. Tough to get media coverage, tough to educate that way. But they can be a place where you can invite. If you can get an elected official to come to your forum to talk about an issue and you have a point of view, then you are pretty clear they're committed. These tend to be more formal and really doesn't fit for a lot of issues. It's more of an educational thing in the early run-up. But for a tough legislative one, we would kind of put this more toward the bottom of the list. But there are cases where it can work, particularly if you get the electeds to come and be a speaker.
And if like electeds in your area have like labor breakfasts, or if unions in your area have labor breakfasts, those are good places to see if you can be a part of it, specifically as retirees, and have a venue to voice the specific issues that you have. So working with other groups again is also a really good way to make these work for you. So. Yeah, no, this is, it's become, whereas it's hard to get media to cover rallies, it's a lot easier to get media to cover things like bird dogging, where you go after an elected or a politician on a specific issue and get them to sort of say something or make them uncomfortable. We've had some good experience where at the Alliance we've designed big visual posters that we've been able to get to our members in different states. There was a big a debate that happened
Republican debate.
in Ohio, and we were able to make signs with all the candidates' faces and some of the ridiculous things that they've said.
About cutting Medicare,
Yeah.
those particular face. So they made these huge faces, they're about this tall, like the ones you see, the fat heads that you see in the basketball games. So we had the fat heads of Ted Cruz and his quote, and they really worked. They got on the media, people saw a picture of our people with the crazy picture in it. And we never saw the candidates, so it wasn't effective on that direct engagement we got to the media. The other way is, go crash their town hall, right, and force a question. That's the simplest way to do bird dogging, is to go to their scheduled event, go to their shaking hands at the grocery store or whatever, have a few people go and bend their ear about whatever you care about. Again, have someone tell personal stories. Don't just say, vote for SB 52, but say, I care about, I'm having trouble paying for my prescriptions. And you've got to do something to bring these prices down, and I've heard there's this bill to do it. Start with your personal story, and then come to the specific ask. Then they don't think you have been trained up to do it. And again, decisions inside or outside the event, do you show up? A lot of times when you bird dog, don't go in your t-shirt that says IAM, or don't go in your Alliance for Retired Americans. You might want to look like a regular person. So think about everything from what you wear, depends on what your outcome is, right? If they see you're at a Republican event, they see you're in a union shirt, they might just sort of know to go to the other door. If you dress like a civilian, they're more likely to stop and talk to you, and you can talk to them about whatever you want. Online letters. So this is the analog to the long letters, right? More and more, Congress is retreating email on the same par as a regular letter. They've gotten better. They can filter out what's from their district and what's not, and they are paying attention. And of course, an email gets to them much more quickly, and it's easier to ask your members to do this. We have a tool that we can set up to any state alliance or a local that will allow you to sort of pre-set a letter. You've probably been asked to sign a letter to your member and it knows where to send it. Those really do get delivered, and we can help you with the technology to do that. And you can pre-write a script that people can edit and make it a little more like theirs. But it's really, those are tracked and they pay attention to what comes out. And the reason we know this is every year there's a Congressional Management Foundation. The Congressional Management Foundation shows its chiefs of staff, legislative directors, senators, and congressmen themselves to say, how do you keep up with what your community is saying? They publish the results every year. And the reason I'm kind of highlighting social media is this is the future, this is the world that we're living on. The average age of a staffer on Capitol Hill is below 30. So they are different than certainly than I am the way they communicate. 70% of people, 76% said social media is helping them be more meaningfully engaged with their constituents. They pay attention to what's going on their Facebook page. Social media comments directed to them by multiple people on a case actually, will have some or a lot of influence. The reason doing is, members of Congress have smartphones. They're sitting around having votes, and they're scrolling through. They don't have the rule you guys have. Nobody's got their phones out, but they're just reading. They go to their own Facebook page, and they read it every day to see who's commenting on their picture or whatever they've posted. That senator is not going and talking to the mail. The mail room is usually on a different floor, way in the back, and he goes up there like once a month to see what the mail has come in. But they're looking at their own Facebook page because it's right there on their phone. So if you can get, they have, it's Older Americans Month, and they have a picture about what they're doing for older Americans. 2 or 3 people commenting in a natural way on that picture, hey, you really need to expand Social Security. I'm having a tough time paying for my drugs. Those messages are getting right to the member. So as much as you may not think, I don't like Facebook, I don't want all that stuff, there is a really good advocacy reason to jump on board with it and get comfortable with it. They also use social media as a barometer for public opinion. They can't run polls all the time. So if something's trending on Twitter, they will think that this is really hot right now. Is Trump's latest gaffe on the Hispanic judge a problem? Is it not? They're looking at the trending, and they've got staff who will tell them what's trending on Twitter. It'll help them say whether they need to jump in on an issue. Does that all make sense?
Was that an issue like the other day, they said Paul Ryan and Trump were talking, and Trump said he couldn't say he was against Social Security, they'd kill him, and that he was with Ryan?
Right.
Is that something the Alliance could put out to everybody?
So we put that on, that was on our Facebook page, it was in our newsletter, we tweet about it, we've got press releases about it, and we say it over and over and over. What we hope, we actually did a blog, we have a blog on our website where we put what our view is. We did a blog on some other things Trump has done. There's 2 senior advisors who are diehard, privatized Social Security, raise the retirement age, all the bad stuff that we oppose. 2 of his tightest and closest policy advisors, if he has any. And a couple of other things he had said. We put it together in a blog post, we put it on our Facebook page. It reached 100,000 people over the course of 3 days. Something like, I can forget the number, I think it was shared by 1,300 people. So what we did is we shared it. I talked to the communications and retiree directors of all of our affiliates. I say, hey, we got this kind of hot Facebook post. Can you guys share it to your pages? And so many of them did. So we had ASME retirees liking it, and machinist retirees who got it through their own page. Now, Facebook is kind of episodic. You don't see everything you want to see, so you got to repeat these messages a few times. But for very little money and not much time, we took the time to write a blog piece about this long, and it was on a hot enough topic at the right time. It reached 100,000 people between Thursday and Monday. So it's a powerful thing to do. We also have media members who follow our Facebook page. We want to remind them what we're talking about, so if they really want a real person or a group to comment on it, they know that we've gotten a review. Does that make sense?
I think just what you said, as much junk as we get on our computer, the Friday Alert is pretty darn good because it's a page and a half, and it's only a paragraph or 2 long, and you got enough facts in it that's what the average person will read.
And one thing we've added to our Friday Alert is from any store in the Friday Alert, there's buttons. So you can take a Friday Alert store, if you just like the top one, you can share that right to your own Facebook page. Okay. You just click it there and it shows up on your Facebook page. So we're trying to build in things in our communication that make it easy for people to take it and kind of have that viral friend of a friend outreach. Ideally, we do that with all our petitions as well. We put them on Facebook, we put them there, we hope people are sharing it with their friends, and that allows us to build our list. That's how we doubled our email list in the last year, was through social share and having people build our network. And it's working, and most of them have stayed engaged with us. We can tell who opens our email. We can tell which link. Every week we look at which story was most popular in the Friday list. Sometimes I guess what it's going to be, and a lot of times I'm wrong. And we try and use that to decide what we're going to say the following week. And we can also give you access to a platform to use email tools and these things yourselves if you want to have a newsletter or something we can help you with it, and you get that same information. It's it feels a little freaky and spy-like to know what people are clicking on, but honestly it helps you meet people where they are and know that you're connecting on the messages. And it's what all the darn stores are doing. That's how, Crate and Barrel, all of them. That's what they're doing. If I needed to convince you any more about the importance of being online and social media, 59% of adults age 65 use the internet. That has been increasing by 5 to 6% every year. Half of online seniors are using social media. If you ask anybody below the age of 25, they are not on Facebook because it's been taken over by people my age and older. We've taken over Facebook for ourselves, and young people only go on there if they want grandma to see something.
Send money.
See something. My kids have a very sanitized, I have teenagers, they have a very sanitized profile on Facebook where they will post things that it's okay for grandma to see. Mom watches those too. But, you target, right? Facebook's also monitored for getting jobs, so the kids are getting smarter about keeping their crazy off that platform. 71% of older Americans go online daily, and more than 80% at least once a week. So we are there, we are growing, and once people, it tends to be a hurdle to get people onto a social media platform. Once they're there, they never leave. So the other thing you can do with social media is Twitter. Twitter's really kind of a weird platform, but reporters are using Twitter to interact with their audiences, to know what reporters that want to get feedback. Reporters not only have to, it used to be they would write so many stories for the paper, and that's how they got paid, and they might win a prize, right? Now they have to write the story, they write 3 or 4 a day. They also have to cultivate a following, and some of them are even paid based on how many followers they have on Twitter, how many people read their Facebook stuff, and who clicks the most into their stories. It's really changing the industry. What does that mean for us? What it means for us as advocates is you can get to know a journalist by following them on Twitter. So if you know somebody shows up at your event, you can follow them on Twitter. When they write a good story, say, hey, love that piece. You're helping them build their followers. They can remember. You can point out things in a polite way that they might have missed or gotten wrong, or suggest to them things that you might also be interested in this. It's not the best forum to pitch something like a rally. That isn't you would call or send an email for that, but it is a way to see what they're interested in, to get smart before you call them about something, and to begin to have a dialogue. Social media is all about the media and people interacting with each other, and it's an increasing part of what they do. The way you do this, and if anybody really wants to know, I can talk to you, but basically you write something in Twitter and you use their handle, their @ in their name, and then it will show up in their feed. It's pretty easy to do, but you got to be short. Yes, sir.
Have you used Snapit yet?
Can you what?
Have you used Snapit?
I haven't used Snapit. Or do you mean Snapchat?
Snapchat, sorry.
Snapchat, we don't use it in the Alliance for our work. The kids use it. I've tried it, but I don't love it. Snapchat is trickier. You can send a personal message. The electeds are not really using Snapchat that much to communicate back with people. They are broadcasting it really to get to the kids. The challenge with Snapchat is nothing is saved unless it's a person-to-person message, whereas Facebook, those comments stay there unless you delete them. So it's a little more ephemeral of a platform, and it's just harder to track what you're doing. It's also weird. I mean, it's just but I'm over 50,
They
so
say it's
I
exceeding Twitter as far as...
It is exceeding Twitter among a certain generation. In terms of the media and elected officials, Twitter is still has a deeper presence, but you know, there's going to be another new one next week. That's the downside of all of this. Facebook, I already kind of mentioned this, so this is more Facebook for your, say, retiree club. If they want to have a Facebook page, just to, the pictures are the most important thing to put in a Facebook post, and a video is even better. The Facebook system for choosing how many people are going to see your post really puts high weight on video first, pictures second, and a text message, just a text blur third. I don't know why. But that's what they do. So a little 30-second video clip is best. An image, and below that is just a post, a status post. How many of you all are on Facebook? Oh, good. So you're all expert. How often do you check it?
10 times a day.
You're as addicted as I am. And who only goes on it like once in a blue moon? My mom, like once a week.
I'm stuck on email.
That's great. So you don't have to go bother. But that's only if somebody messages or tags you directly, right? So the people you're following, if they call out your name and they say, "Hey Mary, how you doing?" then you'll get a notification. If somebody just posts something, you can
Clutter up your email.
You can clutter up your email. They keep predicting emails going away, and it really is, I don't think it's ever going.
Well, yeah, and so just to summarize, we talked about a lot of tactics, so I think that in your own organizing, you always want to just ask, which tactic is going to work for you and when. It's always important to have goals and strategies that they should be driving the tactics and not the other way around. So not Facebook for Facebook's sake, but Facebook as part of a larger strategy. And then when a tactic doesn't turn out the way you had hoped, regroup, assess what might make it work better the next time, and then just move on, because everything in politics and organizing is about moving forward, learning from your mistakes, and just trying again. It's a repetition. And then recognize that coalition partners may take different strategies and tactics. That's okay. And then also just to make sure, take time to celebrate your victories. And I also just wanted to ask one more thing out of curiosity, because we were talking about the Friday alert. Does everyone here get the Friday alert? Well, it's a pretty good crowd, but I think that...
I'm going to send around a
yeah.
sign-in sheet. If you don't get it, give me your email, I'll sign you up. If you like it, you can keep getting it. If you dislike it, you can unsubscribe and you'll never get it again.
As you can hear, it's very popular and it's very good. So it's a weekly email that Lisa puts together. It's like phenomenal. But if you sign up and give us your email, we'll make sure that you get it. But then I will also send an email to everyone who gives me the email asking if you'd like to think about using the Labor Activation Network, the LAN, as well in your state. So if you're interested in Action Network and/or the voter and member file for your state, give us your name and email, and we'll be in touch. And then also, if you have anything else that you want to talk to Lisa or I about that we didn't talk about or that we did talk about, you can...
that you think we get wrong.
Yeah, feel free to email us. Yeah.
What's your opinion about term limits? I live on the side of Missouri, on the side of Kansas, Paul Davis, between their 47 years. Wow. I can come to the real. The younger people.
It would seem to be
not
hard.
exactly a retiree, but at least the younger person.
Yeah.
And also the judges of the court. They stay forever. Like in the past, it was an old person. They used to help him, to go up the stairs, sit down, went to sleep, and then they walk him up to go home. That has to go.
And that would be a hard one to get changed.
Are gone, but they stay forever.
That's what elections are for.
Every 2 years.
Yeah.
Well, I think he's talking about judge appointments, judicial ones.
Okay.
The Supreme Court is life, as well as some of the federal judges.
That's the only place is life.
10 years in the States.
10 years is better. Would you all mind giving me one more minute to make a quick pitch for something that we do at the Alliance? So the one thing, we were talking about advocacy campaigns. The other thing I do in my department of the Alliance is we are a source for stories or examples for the news media. They call us and they say, hey, we need to talk to somebody who's having a hard time paying for their prescription drugs, or somebody who's in the Medicare donut hole, or somebody who, a woman who's not, her Social Security isn't enough, or she took it early. And so I'm going to pass around some forms that ask you some questions if either you yourself have something to say about these things, or if you could take it back or you know somebody, your friend, you're this. We like to call people, we keep a database of people who have the right story. These people are often called upon to go to Capitol Hill and testify. We can fly them in, we send them to meetings, or we have talks with media. And we are but once they've told their story, the media wants a new one the next time. So we're always looking for people who can personalize and make these things real. So I'm going to send around what we call our story forms. You can also do this on the website. We have places where we ask people who are willing to give us their story. Preferably people who are willing to talk publicly about it, but if not, we can also make it anonymous and use it as examples.